Have you ever been rejected by someone who seemed emotionally distant, only to wonder what you could have done differently? The truth is, when an avoidant person pushes you away, what happens next matters more than you think. In today's video, we're diving deep into the avoidant attachment style and revealing the one thing every avoidant secretly wishes you'd do after they reject you. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding human psychology at its core. Stay until the end because what we're about to share might completely change how you view rejection. Let's get started. So here's the paradox that nobody talks about. Avoidants reject people, but they don't actually want to lose them forever. Sounds contradictory, right? But once you understand the avoidant mind, it all makes perfect sense. Let's break down exactly what's happening beneath the surface and reveal the 6 key things every avoidant secretly wishes you'd do after they push you away. The first thing that most people catastrophically get wrong is how they handle space. They either chase relentlessly with desperate messages and phone calls, or they vanish entirely as if the person never existed. Both extremes trigger the avoidant's deepest fears in ways that make reconciliation nearly impossible. What avoidants actually wish for is something beautifully in between. Respectful distance without total abandonment. When an avoidant rejects you, their nervous system is completely overwhelmed. Everything inside them is screaming danger, even when there's genuine connection and real potential for something meaningful. They need space to regulate their emotions, to calm their anxious thoughts, and to process what's happening without feeling suffocated by your presence or expectations. But here's the catch that creates the entire complexity of this situation. They also deeply fear being forgotten, abandoned, and left behind completely. This fear often stems from childhood experiences where caregivers were inconsistent or emotionally unavailable. What they truly wish is that you'd step back calmly, without drama, without those desperate texts at 2 in the morning, begging for another chance, but also without blocking them on every platform and acting like they never mattered to you at all. It's an incredibly delicate balance that requires emotional intelligence and self-control, but it's precisely what allows them to feel safe enough to eventually process their genuine feelings for you. Think of it like this. They're asking for breathing room, not a permanent goodbye. They need to know that you respect their boundaries enough to give them space, but that you also valued the connection enough not to erase it completely from existence. When you respect that boundary, without making it deeply personal or turning it into a dramatic production, you're actually speaking their emotional language in a way that very few people ever manage to do. The second crucial element revolves around maintaining your own life and happiness in a way that's both authentic and visible. Nothing attracts an avoidant back faster than seeing you genuinely thrive independently. And here's the beautiful irony in all of this. This isn't supposed to be a manipulation tactic or a game you're playing to win them back. This is actually what you should be doing for yourself anyway, regardless of whether they ever return to your life or not. Avoidants are fundamentally wired to value autonomy and independence above almost everything else in their relationships and personal lives. When they see you completely devastated, constantly posting cryptic sad quotes on social media, clearly sitting by the phone waiting for their call, or putting your entire life on hold for them, it confirms their absolute worst fear, that romantic relationships are suffocating traps that will consume their identity and steal their freedom. Their childhood experiences often taught them that closeness means losing themselves, that intimacy requires sacrifice of their autonomy, and that love always comes with strings attached. But when you genuinely move forward with your life, pursuing your personal goals with passion, spending quality time with friends and family, posting about your achievements and adventures, engaging in hobbies that light you up, and living fully in every sense of the word, something profound shifts in their entire perception of you and the relationship. Suddenly, you're not the needy person who can't function without them. You're not a threat to their precious freedom and independence. You become attractive again because you remind them of the strong, independent, self-assured person they were initially drawn to when you first met. The absolute secret here is that this transformation has to be completely authentic and genuine. Avoidants have incredibly finely tuned radar for detecting manipulation, game playing, and artificial behavior designed to make them jealous or regretful. They can sense inauthenticity from a mile away, and it instantly repels them. You need to actually invest in yourself, actually do the healing work, actually build a life that you're genuinely proud of, regardless of their presence in it. That's what they desperately wish you'd do, not because it strategically wins them back, but because it demonstrates that you're emotionally mature enough to handle their complex attachment style without falling apart. The third element that people rarely understand is the critical importance of not making the avoidant into a villain in your personal narrative. When an avoidant rejects you, the completely natural and understandable response is hurt, anger, betrayal, and maybe even a desire for vindictiveness or revenge. You want to tell everyone who will listen how cold and heartless they are, how emotionally unavailable and damaged they seem, how broken their ability to love appears to be. You might want to blast them on social media, warn others about their toxic patterns, or paint them as the villain in your story. But here's what avoidants desperately wish you knew and understood. They're already drowning in shame and self-criticism about their behavior. Deep down in places they rarely acknowledge, they know their behavior hurts people who care about them. They're painfully aware that they self-sabotage potentially beautiful relationships. They know they run away when things start getting real and vulnerable. This awareness creates a constant internal battle between their desire for connection and their terror of intimacy. When you publicly blast them on social media, send long angry messages detailing their flaws, or paint them as heartless monsters incapable of love, you're actually reinforcing their deeply negative self-image rather than holding them accountable in a productive way. You're confirming what they already believe in their darkest moments, that they're too damaged for love, that they hurt everyone who gets close, that they're fundamentally broken and unworthy of healthy relationships. What they secretly wish is that you'd see their behavior for what it really is: a defense mechanism developed in childhood, not an inherent character flaw or evidence of a cruel heart. They wish you'd hold them accountable for their actions without completely demonizing their character. They wish you could say something like, "I understand you're scared, and this is how you protect yourself, but that doesn't make this behavior okay or acceptable," instead of, "You're a terrible person who's incapable of loving anyone." This approach doesn't mean accepting poor treatment or allowing them to hurt you repeatedly without consequences. It means responding with dignity and emotional maturity. It means recognizing that their rejection often says far more about their unhealed wounds than it does about your worth as a person. The fourth insight centers on showing consistency through your actions rather than just your words. Avoidants have trust issues that run incredibly deep, usually rooted in childhood experiences where caregivers were unpredictable, inconsistent, or emotionally unavailable when they needed support. They've learned through painful experience that people eventually leave, that love is always conditional and can be withdrawn at any moment, that vulnerability inevitably leads to pain and disappointment. After they reject you, what they secretly wish more than almost anything is that you'd prove their negative worldview wrong, not through empty promises or romantic declarations, but through steady, consistent, reliable action over an extended period of time. This doesn't mean chasing them relentlessly or sacrificing your boundaries. It means being the same stable, reliable person you've always been, regardless of the current status of your romantic relationship. If you were friends before the romantic element developed, stay friendly without applying pressure for more. If you run in the same social circles or work in the same environment, be polite and genuinely warm, without making things awkward or loaded with unspoken expectations. If you said you'd be there if they ever needed support, actually be there when they reach out, even if it's several months later and you've moved on with your life. Avoidants are always watching from the periphery, even when they seem completely disengaged. They're unconsciously testing whether you'll abandon them, the way they fear everyone eventually will. When you remain emotionally stable, behaviorally predictable, and drama-free in your interactions, you fundamentally challenge their entire worldview about relationships and human nature. You become living proof that maybe, just maybe, consistent and reliable love actually exists in the world. But here's the crucial boundary that protects your self-respect. Consistency doesn't mean becoming a doormat or accepting whatever scraps of attention they're willing to offer. You can be steady and reliable without sacrificing your fundamental self-respect. You can be dependable without accepting breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole meal. Finding and maintaining that balance is absolutely key to both your healing and any potential future relationship. The fifth principle involves respecting their deep-seated need for control in the relationship dynamic. Control is fundamentally the avoidant security blanket and primary coping mechanism for managing their anxiety around intimacy. When they reject you, they're desperately trying to control the narrative before it has a chance to control them. They'd much rather be the person who leaves first than the person who gets left behind and abandoned. What they wish you deeply understand is that wrestling them for control, trying to force their hand, or issuing ultimatums only makes the entire situation exponentially worse. When you demand immediate answers, force uncomfortable conversations about defining the relationship, or issue ultimatums about commitment timelines, you're essentially triggering their emotional panic button and activating all their defenses. Instead, they wish you'd let them set the pace of reconnection and relationship development within reasonable boundaries that protect your own emotional well-being. If they need a few days or even weeks to think through their feelings, give them that space without constant check-ins. If they want to keep things casual and undefined for a while as they build trust, you need to decide whether that arrangement actually works for you and then communicate your decision clearly. The crucial part that many people miss is this: respecting their need for control absolutely doesn't mean you lose your own agency and power in the situation. You still get to decide what you're willing to accept in a relationship. You get to establish boundaries about what behavior is acceptable. You get to walk away with dignity if their timeline doesn't align with yours, or if their offerings don't meet your needs. But when you approach these conversations calmly and rationally, without trying to force their hand or manipulate them into commitment, you're demonstrating the kind of emotional maturity that avoidants deeply respect and are naturally drawn toward. They wish you'd trust the process of gradual reconnection instead of trying to artificially accelerate it according to your preferred timeline. Ironically, the less pressure you apply and the more space you allow, the faster they often naturally come around to wanting deeper connection. The sixth, and perhaps most powerful element, is demonstrating genuine emotional maturity in every single interaction you have with them. This is truly the factor that sets exceptional people apart, and what avoidants wish more people fundamentally understood about navigating relationships with their attachment style. Emotional maturity means you can handle rejection without completely falling apart or making it a reflection of your worth. It means you can fully feel the hurt and disappointment without making it someone else's responsibility to fix your emotional state. It means you can genuinely want them back while simultaneously not being desperate or willing to compromise your standards. When an avoidant rejects you, they're typically bracing themselves for absolute chaos. Tears and emotional manipulation, guilt trips about how much you've sacrificed, or alternatively cold revenge and vindictive behavior. When instead you respond with remarkable grace and composure, it completely disarms their defenses in a way almost nothing else can. Imagine this scenario playing out. They push you away expecting drama, and instead you calmly say something like, "I genuinely respect your decision, and I'm not going to try to change your mind. I care about you deeply, but I also care about myself and my own well-being. I'll give you all the space you need to figure out what you want. I hope you find whatever you're looking for, whether that's with me or someone else." That kind of response creates a lasting impression that genuinely haunts them in the best possible way. It shows them you're secure enough in yourself to walk away from something that isn't serving you. You're not controlled by fear of abandonment or desperate need for validation. You're not trying to manipulate them into staying through guilt or emotional pressure. You're simply a whole, complete person who knows their inherent worth, regardless of whether this particular person recognizes it. Avoidants will rarely openly admit this, but they desperately wish everyone had this level of emotional regulation and self-possession. It makes them feel genuinely safe rather than trapped. It makes them seriously reconsider their decision. It makes them wonder if maybe, just maybe, they pushed away someone truly special who actually had the emotional capacity to handle their complex attachment patterns. So there you have it. 6 things every avoidant secretly wishes you'd do after they reject you. But here's the final truth that matters most. None of this should ever be primarily about winning someone back or manipulating a specific outcome. These principles work because they're fundamentally rooted in self-respect, emotional health, and genuine personal growth. Whether the avoidant eventually returns to your life or not, you'll be infinitely better for having implemented these approaches. You'll be stronger, clearer about your worth, and more aligned with what you truly deserve in relationships. And sometimes, the biggest gift that rejection gives you isn't getting them back at all. It's finding yourself, your strength, and your standards in the process of letting go.